States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, thank you. Sorry for our tardiness, starting a little late, but for roll call, we'll just, here. We got Counselor Sullivan is absent, and Counselor Hickam is attempting probably to be on the phone, but he's absent at this point, and we just add him to the minutes as he joins us. And with that, we'll move on to consent agenda. We've got the minutes. Any changes, anything we saw in the consent agenda? If not, looking for approval.
Move we approve the consent agenda as presented.
Second. All right, we got a second. Take a vote. All in favor signify by aye. Aye. All opposed, same sign. Okay, motion passes. Thank you. On to guest presentations. Sergeant? Yes, we are.
Sorry for last month. The change of time kind of caught me off guard. So let's talk about June. More citations issued last month than typical. You would see that Love's kept us pretty busy. We had some vehicle break-ins, a stolen vehicle there. And actually, let's just talk about businesses in general. The crimes in June, the property crimes, were all from business-related areas. So Palm Harbor had some vehicles broken into, Love's, and some other like industrial places. So no property crimes in our residential areas, but where we're seeing a lot of vehicles parking, where places are doing like shift work and whatnot, we're seeing some vehicles entered that way. So lock your stuff up. We had a crash on Old Salem. Both drivers of that crash received citations for their involvement and how that crash played out. We had a motorcycle that eluded us. It's summertime, happens all the time. And I thought I'd touch on arrests. Warrant arrests. We had 3 at Love's. We had a DUI. We arrested 2 for riding the train, not something we see typical around, but if you're riding a train, especially Union Pacific, on the railroad tracks is trespass if it's unauthorized. So 2 people went to jail for that. And arrested and transported somebody to jail for driving with a revoked driver's license, crime in Oregon. So,
All right.
Busy. I would love to talk about fireworks and touch base on that. I still have a 4th of July hangover from working so long. I haven't even really looked at the numbers. I know we received, I couldn't tell you, 100+ firework calls probably throughout the county. But we are, I wouldn't say busy on the 4th of July. This last 4th of July, I would say like inundated is probably a better word. All the way from Hoodoo to Harrisburg up to Mill City. We had an event in Harrisburg. This year was estimated to be 12,000 to 15,000 people at the parade. Comes with DUIs and fights. We had a missing person. We took a kidnapping call. We had a shooting incident on the 4th of July. Wow. Several crashes. It's the worst night of the year to work in law enforcement. But I know fireworks are a big thing for communities. I don't have numbers for what happened in Millersburg that night. We'll get those out when, early August, and we'll talk about them then. But it's really hard to respond to those unless we're in the area and we're not tied up taking somebody to jail, or we're at the hospital visiting a victim, or trying to open roads and stuff like that. So we have to organize priority calls. And when we're spread thin with everything going on the 4th of July, fireworks isn't a top priority for us unless we're slow. Yeah.
When does slow happen on 4th of July?
Well, it's July 9th.
Now maybe now.
So
yeah,
we're still working on some calls from yesterday.
Right.
So
right.
Yeah,
totally get the priority, and I think fireworks, unfortunately, people aren't respectful to their neighbors, but it's going to happen. And but with all the other activities up to shooting and pursuits and domestics and drunk driving.
And I'm not saying don't take this as that we wouldn't or like will not respond to fireworks. We definitely will. But on the 4th of July, when everybody is shooting them up in the entire county, injury and personal safety is going to come first before stuff like that. But we can talk a little bit more about that when we get some numbers
Yeah.
from next month and we put together what this entire month looks like. We're only a couple days into it, so we're still receiving firework calls.
Yeah.
So
I know Albany Police received, they had about just between 50 and 60 complaints or calls
Sure.
to firework complaints. That was looked up this morning.
Yeah.
And I think Albany Fire had just 4 responses for fireworks. So in general, it's sort of slow for the fire service, which is good.
knock on,
So, but
knock
yeah.
on wood.
So yeah,
I think
that's-
people forget. I don't think they forget. I just don't think they realize like how big the county is.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, you mentioned
let's
Hoodoo.
just take
Hoodoo.
Millersburg. Since we're in Millersburg, we think about our neighborhood and like some of those fireworks are really annoying. But couple that with 2,300 square miles, people shoot them off on like BLM property, like the Hoodoo parking lot, Clear Lake up by Detroit. We have a huge area to cover, so it's hard to ping pong around the county. We kind of, if you're in this area, you're going to take all those calls in that area until that board's cleared up. So yeah, we'll talk more about that in August.
Great. I appreciate that.
Yeah.
And glad everyone's safe. Any questions for Sergeant Framis?
I have,
Go ahead.
I have one. The theft, is that something you're seeing in the county as a whole, or are we higher?
Yeah, no, I don't think you're higher at all.
Okay.
So in general, everything we deal with peaks in the summer. We have longer days, people are out longer, warmer nights, right? We always see an uptick in everything in the summer. So theft, DUIs,
Yeah.
domestic calls, fights, stuff related to bars, all that stuff peaks. Yeah,
Right.
our crashes. Yeah.
So we're pretty much just on point with the rest of the county as far as the theft, okay.
Yeah, the one thing about these two, if you were to look on these, this isn't like a daily or even a weekly occurrence. These are more than likely tied to just 1 or 2 people that break into 4 or 5 cars in a parking lot
Right.
within 10 minutes and they're out.
Okay.
But the way, I think we've talked about this before, the way we write our reports, if everybody here got their vehicle broken into, there are separate reports, which is gonna help for insurance purposes. So your car gets broken into, when it goes to your insurance to get reimbursed for something expensive, it's just gonna be your name on that. So that drives up statistics too. So we'll say, holy smokes, in June, property crime in Millersburg went up 60%. I was like, yeah, but only,
Same
it
person,
happened
most
within,
of it.
it happened within 10 minutes,
Gotcha.
Okay.
So, yeah,
All right.
I'm not overly concerned. We don't want it to happen.
Right.
But what I see doesn't concern me, and it's staying out of our residential areas. Those mass parking lots of Palm Harbor and stuff are just kind of prime. There's so many people coming and going, and even when you talk to people who work there, they don't even know some of their coworkers, so they can't tell who's not supposed to be there and who is. So it makes it tough.
All right.
There's another one.
Any correlation in June to when school lets out and that increase?
We don't see a lot of the juveniles creating crimes. They'll do stupid stuff like crashes and some of our traffic complaints, curfew violations, or you'll see not necessarily reported to us, but on Facebook, like the eggings and the ding dong ditches and typical kid stuff. We don't see a lot of kids committing like felonies and pretty brazen thefts like that.
And then lastly, to kind of help us picture your 4th of July, 2,300 square miles.
Mhm.
How many deputies on duty that night?
We had almost everyone. But with that being said, so I think I did 17 hours, but I was mainly working Harrisburg in that event with 12 to 15,000 people. We put out, the way we structure is we have so many deputies that work that event and they cannot leave.
Right.
Like they're designated for that, right? And then Mill City had a big event, had a fireworks show. We sent a couple too afterwards, got a rest out of it. And so on regular patrol that night, I think we had 8 throughout the county taking calls for service. But really it's probably close to 20, 25 working all the other events and whatnot.
But
Yeah.
it
On
still took
overtime.
all the resources essentially.
Oh gosh, we could have used more.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was my point.
Yeah. We could have had 100 deputies on the road and still, wouldn't have made a dent.
All right. Well, lock your doors to your vehicles and shut your garage door.
Yep, please, yeah.
Yeah. All right, anything else? Thanks, Sergeant, appreciate it. Thank you.
Yep.
All right, public comment. This is the opportunity for anyone in the public to speak. Our guests, any guests here as audience or, oh, we got one, come on up. And go ahead and just state your name and your address.
I'm Renee Chapman. We live at 2610 Tuscan Lane. Questions, concerns? How do we make your communication better to the community? I know both my husband and I have signed up for email notifications to get information on upcoming council meetings, planning commission meetings, et cetera. Probably in the last 3 years, I think we've gotten 2 email notifications. So I don't know if there's something going on with that particular system that's not working correctly. Or if there's something that we need to do, like sign up every month, I don't know. And then today on Facebook, we find out that there is a large slurry seal project coming to the neighborhood on Friday. Digging a little deeper into that, I listened to last month's city council meeting where Janelle said it would happen sometime this summer. There was no definitive date. And looking at the website, it said that the contractor would be contacting the residences to inform us of this project with more information. Have not received anything. On the website, there was information on a door hanger, which we've not received as well. And we are on the block that will have absolutely no access to the outside, or if we're outside, we'll have no access to our home. Because in order to get out, we would have to cross a street. So I'm just asking y'all to help a girl out.
Yeah,
And keep your citizenry better informed a little bit further in advance. And for this to be on a Friday, I can only imagine if there's people trying to get out of town after work, not being able to get back into their homes, to be able to leave or leave during the day. Yeah.
well, I appreciate you coming and expressing your concerns and communicating, letting us know how we could communicate maybe and check our email notification. The slurry, I'm gonna let project manager here or Janelle talk a little bit more about maybe the logistics of that and how that works. So Janelle.
We do have a slide on it, but we can just talk about it now.
Okay.
So first, the notice, we did post to social media today with the notice and the information on the website. It could have been earlier. I 100% agree with that. I would have liked to have gotten it out earlier. The date, it's based on when the contractor's available. Could have pushed back, I guess, and said, we just can't do it and find another date, but we have a window. We've got to fit it in of weather in the summer. So I agree with you. We should do better at getting that information.
How long
out
did you
earlier.
know it was going to happen on the 12th?
For about a week. So we should have gotten that out earlier. I agree with that. I've talked to multiple people today who have called and tried to call all of them back that gave contact information.
Yeah.
The contractor will be providing the door hangers 48 hours in advance. So
Tomorrow.
Tomorrow, yes. The additional information will be most of what's on our website.
Right.
And they'll put up signs. There are going to be walking paths to get out of the homes. There is one street that looks like the whole thing will be done. We'll make sure they hold that back from the end so you can walk around the end of it.
Because I'm looking Tuscan Lane,
Yep.
down Sedona,
Right.
down Sonora is all going to be,
Right.
we're locked.
Right. It's very inconvenient. These projects are inconvenient, and I totally understand that. We always want to post it to the roads be closed all day. The reality is the contractor will start to reopen them as soon as they the project is set enough to be on. And I talked to him just before this meeting, actually, and he said, right now with the weather conditions where they're working, the stuff's setting in about 2 hours, where normally it's about 6. So it probably won't be as bad as what was posted, but I completely understand the concerns. One thing we have, I talked with one individual who was, said he has mobility issues and he can't walk that far. We're willing to provide some shuttling via some sort of golf cart on the sidewalks to get people to where they need to be. We just need to know if that is a need. So I will keep trying to reach out. Yeah, apologize for the inconvenience. And
I mean, fortunately, we don't have any plans to go anywhere on Friday. But my husband recently did have surgery. He also has mobility issues. I mean, he's got an e-scooter, but to scooter like all the way out to Millersburg, and I had asked the question about, okay, if we're parking on Millersburg, we're gonna be having to park in the bike lane.
And the recommendation would be to park on Tuscan Loop, Navajo,
And that,
Trask,
okay,
those
up
streets
there.
for your neighborhood, or across
Or
Woods Road,
across
but the whole
Woods,
neighborhood
yeah.
over there is
I have a grade
available.
in that area.
Yeah, I would recommend don't park on Millersburg Drive or Woods Road just because it's bike lanes, there's no
Right.
shoulder, for safety concerns. But I think there are other places to park. We will,
Yeah.
I think we'll understand if people end up parked there temporarily during that time, and talk with our law enforcement about understanding of people
Right.
in that
day.
situation that day. But
Okay, well, it's good to, I figured with the wet current weather that it wouldn't take as long to set.
right,
Because otherwise I'm thinking, okay, if they don't do that until 8 hours, that's 1 o'clock in the morning.
no, oh, that's a good clarification. The
Yeah.
time frame is to get it all done and be set and be done
Okay.
and out of the neighborhoods, everything
5.
reopened by
Okay.
5.
Okay.
Yes. But it likely will be earlier.
Okay.
And with the weather, they will be starting right at 7, most likely with, they've got a sweep, they've got a prep, that sorts of
Right.
things, so.
But yeah, but then just the general communication with the community to
Yeah.
figure out how to do that. I don't know if somebody wants to volunteer to be, your PIO, but, or something.
I would recommend, so everything that we put out, it gets posted to the website. So our calendar is on there, all of our announcements for our meetings are on there. And that's really the best site, because we can't, trying to send stuff to people individually. So one of the things we try to encourage people to do is check the website. We will check and see what's going on with the notifications that you sign.
Yeah,
up.
it's
Now,
just nice to get that email reminder
Yeah.
that something's coming up. Otherwise, it's like, oh yeah. And then, the sign's great, but when you're negotiating the term, you don't have time to
Right,
read the whole thing.
Yeah.
So,
Well, thanks Renee for coming and expressing that. And like I said, hopefully that helped. I agree. I think we all agree. We could have communicated that maybe a little sooner. Things happen. And
Right.
so I apologize for that. And definitely these projects are sort of difficult logistically to work with from our end, but as well as I would imagine for a community member. So, but I do appreciate you coming in and speaking to us. Thank you.
And I would just mention our council meetings are always the second Tuesday. And the planning commission meetings, sometimes they're not all, we don't always have planning commissions, but when they are scheduled, they're normally on the first Tuesday of the month. So that may.
And typically 6:30, I know it's today's early, but yeah, usually 6:30, but this is just an exception. The last 2 months have been an exception. So. All right.
thank you.
Thanks, Renee. Anyone else in our audience? No? Anyone online? All right. And did Mike, Counselor Hickam, by chance make it back on? Okay. Then that will move on to Counselor staff comments. If not, we'll go ahead and get into the city manager report.
And that will be
So we'll keep this pretty brief, but just a quick update on Transition Parkway. The bid opening is this Thursday,
All
2
right.
o'clock here. So we did push that back. It was going to be 2 weeks earlier, but we had some more questions. We felt like it was more appropriate to respond during the bidding period, not have to deal with them by change order later. So we pushed back the date, which means we will not be awarding tonight at this council meeting. So we will likely need to schedule a special council meeting for the award unless we decide we can just wait till August. But we'll probably look to do it that work session week, if we can get a quorum. But not on Tuesday, on Monday night, if that's possible. And we don't need to figure that out tonight necessarily, but that would be the 22nd. Or possibly the following Tuesday, the 30th. So let's keep that in mind. We'll reach out once we receive the bids and we start doing evaluation, then we'll have a better sense of the timing.
All right, thank you.
And then the slurry seal project, which we just talked about. If anyone's not aware, that is the map of the streets that are impacted. Unfortunately, because of the size of the project and the budget that we were staying within this year, it's a pretty small slurry seal project. If they could have broken it up, if they had 2 days worth of work, they would have alternated streets, but we didn't have that amount of work budgeted this year. So it is pretty inconvenient for the residents. And those streets will be closed as we discussed for periods of time that day.
So with that, so if it was a larger project, then they might have used, they could have done it a little bit easier logistically for people to,
They
if
would,
it went that
yeah, if we had
direction.
2 days
Yeah.
worth of work,
Yeah,
they could have split up the
Alternated,
work,
yeah.
you know, done half of the streets in one neighborhood and
Right.
half in another. But we just, you know, this project is just under $100,000
Okay.
project to do this. We just didn't have the budget to do
Right.
more.
Yeah, it makes
this
sense
year.
yeah.
Yeah, we've done it both ways. This is the third time we'll have done it. The first time we were able to split it up. The second time we were not able to because it was a smaller amount.
Anything else? Is that it?
That's all I got.
All right. All right, moving on to city attorney report.
Couple things to update you on. You all may be aware or remember, the city owns approximately 70 acres of land immediately west of the railroad tracks. It's owned industrial. Kevin and Janelle were able to go up to the title company today, sign the closing document for that easement. We've had that under contract since February. And haven't yet, though, been able to fully execute and record it. We expect that to happen this week. Relatedly, we will be going to Planning Commission tonight to listen to deliberations because the access road for that land goes outside of the city limits and the urban growth boundary. Lynn County. Did I misspeak?
You said the planning commission, which could be
Oh,
interpreted to
yes.
be our planning
Yeah,
commission.
yeah.
Going to the county's
To the
planning
Lynn
commission
County's
tonight.
Planning Commission.
I know.
Yeah. So we'll listen to their deliberations. We're hopeful that they will recommend approval. And we've already have it scheduled to be in front of the Board of Commissioners the following week, a week from today on the 16th, that'll be in the morning, to have the second hearing. You have 2 hearings on these types of land use cases where they will rule on the issues before them, which is basically under the statewide planning goals. Is it okay to have this urban driveway outside of the UGB? There are still, outreach efforts. You may remember we had an open house that was pretty well attended with the co-applicants Timber Lab. Number of interested people from the community showed up to there. We're still in discussions, hoping that we can get everybody to support the project. So those efforts are ongoing. Hopefully by the time kind of maybe next month, we will we'll have gone through the board hearing and they'll have voted on that. And hopefully they'll be in the process of reducing that oral decision into written findings of fact, conclusions of law, which can then be the final decision. So those are the things to come in the near future.
Thank you. Any unfinished business? I think we do. So moving on, new business? No new business. We are moving right along, aren't we? Closing council comments.
Just noticing Matt's photography, and
Yes.
if you missed the drone show, you missed a really cool event. So just
Yes.
throw that out there. It was a lot of fun, really quick, enjoyable. I saw a lot of citizens out there cheering, enjoying it, and just a general positive environment.
Yes, I agree. I think that drone show, like a lot of support. I don't know how many people we think we had out there. Any numbers out there? Couple hundred?
It's
Easy,
probably
easy.
600-700.
700 people. I did want to, I made a note, I just wanted to thank Ann and the events committee, but Ann was the point person on that from our events committee. And I think she did a great job as the point person in organizing that. I also want to thank staff for assistance on that. I know there was some, quite a bit of, well, maybe not a ton, but there was work behind the scenes and taken away from other projects and work. So I wanted just to thank you. And again, just a big shout out to Ann and the events committee for making that happen. And I think, maybe it's something we continue to do. So, I did also want to just bring up National Night Out. It's scheduled for August 6th. And it's 5 p.m. to 8 p.m. It's going to be at the park. I believe that's been reserved. And just wanted to make that announcement on that. August 6th, yes. You going to be around? No. Yeah, I think, or is it
It's
playing?
tradition, you
Yeah,
do that every year.
yeah, they do. But they did want to make sure you and everyone, the committees were invited afterwards to go get some food. So that's all I had.
Matt, I know you were working. Do we have anything posted on the website from the show yet?
As far as the video is concerned? No, I'm still trying to gather different people's videos to amalgamate into a longer one, but we will have something on the city's YouTube site that will have a video of that event.
And we do have a YouTube site
absolutely.
also, so, and that's on our website as well, listing the YouTube site, I believe. Or do we need to get it? Okay.
That's
But
cool.
It
that's
is.
another way.
It is.
we had a
There's links
YouTube
to the
site.
videos.
I will try to get you my video tomorrow. I got 4 minutes worth, so it's,
I'm getting them from everybody.
yep, it was pretty cool.
Together.
So, yeah, anything else before we close out? All good? All right, and we're gonna go ahead and close our meeting, adjournment, and ends the council meeting. Thank you.
I have photos, Matt, but I don't have.
Good question?
Oh,
okay, cool. Thank you.
I saw her taking some.
Great. I'll take anything you can give me.
It was short.
Thank you, Larry.